Crime is sexy.
Welcome to the top 5 most disrespectful defendants ever in court. Let's jump right in. Number 5. This is Alan McCarty, a father who has had his children taken away from him, was arrested and charged for making death threats to the judge in his child custody case. His outburst came after the judge ruled against him, leaving him devastated and desperate. The resulting communication war highlighted the depths of his desperation and anger. McCarty's anger was palpable in the conversation he had with a 911 operator shortly before he was arrested. He told the operator that a crime was about to happen if his children were not returned to him. The operator tried to calm him down, but he was beyond reason. He even threatened to shoot the judge's building and execute anyone who stood in his way. His erratic behavior toward the judge continued even during his court appearance. He was visibly agitated and confrontational. He accused the judge of stealing his children and demanded that they be returned to him. His outbursts were so disruptive that he was moved to another room where he could watch the proceedings through a one-way glass. Eventually, McCarty was found guilty of making death threats to a judge and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. His disruptive behavior during his sentencing hearing also led to an additional 10-day sentence. The judge's decision was a reflection of McCarty's uncontrolled anger and threats of violence. Number 4. On a peaceful December evening in 2021, the town of Waukesha, Wisconsin was bustling with joy and merriment as its residents celebrated Christmas with their loved ones. However, the festivities were cut short when a man named Darrell Brooks decided to unleash a reign of terror that would claim the lives of 6 innocent people and leave dozens more injured. Brooks, who was behind the wheel of his SUV, drove recklessly and at speeds of 30 miles per hour, intentionally plowing through a Christmas parade that was underway. His vehicle hit 68 different people, and he kept going until there were no more bodies to hit. His actions were deliberate and calculated, causing widespread panic and devastation in the town. The prosecution argued that Brooks's driving rampage was intentional, and he was subsequently arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder and attempted murder. Despite the severity of his crimes, Brooks decided to represent himself in court, which meant that he would have no legal representation throughout the trial. The judge warned him about the consequences of his decision, telling him that he would not have attorneys assisting him and that he would be held to the same standards as any other defendant. However, Brooks remained adamant and stated that he believed he would be better served representing himself. From the moment the trial began, it became clear that Brooks was not fit to represent himself. He was removed from the courtroom multiple times for constant interruptions and outbursts, causing chaos and disruption. During a witness testimony, he even laughed and threatened to kill one of the witnesses. Brooks's outburst continued throughout the trial, with him getting frustrated over the pronunciation of words and even having a stare down with the judge. His behavior was erratic, and it was evident that he was not in control of his emotions. Despite his efforts to defend himself, the jury quickly found Brooks guilty of all 76 charges against him. He was subsequently sentenced to 6 life sentences plus more than 700 additional years in prison, ensuring that he would never be able to cause harm to innocent people again. Number 3. In a gruesome incident that shook the entire city of Portland, Oregon, Jeremy Christian was found guilty of murdering 2 people. The incident occurred on a packed train where Christian suddenly broke out on a racial rant toward 2 young women. While bystanders initially tried to stop Christian, the situation quickly escalated, leading to the murder of 2 men and serious injuries to a third. The incident was captured on camera, and the footage showed the chaos that ensued on the train. Passengers tried to intervene as Christian became increasingly aggressive toward the 2 women, who he perceived to be Muslim. However, their attempts to de-escalate the situation were in vain, as Christian pulled out a knife and attacked 3 men who tried to intervene. As the passengers fled the scene, Christian was seen fleeing as well, but he was followed by some of the passengers who eventually led the police to him. Christian was arrested about a mile away from the crime scene, and the footage of his arrest shows him being led away in handcuffs. The trial that followed was closely watched by people across the country, and the footage of the incident was played in court. The evidence against Christian was overwhelming, and he was found guilty of 2 counts of murder and attempted murder. At the sentencing, one of the victims delivered a victim impact statement where he expressed his anger and grief over the incident. The statement was emotional and raw, and the victim's words resonated with everyone in the courtroom. During the hearing, Christian had an outburst when the victim delivered his statement. He shouted obscenities at the victim, revealing his complete lack of remorse for his actions. The outburst only served to confirm the fact that Christian was a cold-blooded killer who had no regard for human life. The judge, who'd been carefully listening to the proceedings, was unmoved by Christian's outburst. He sentenced Christian to 2 consecutive life terms, along with more than 25 years for his other convictions. Number 2. This is Bass Webb, a notorious criminal who was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder in Lexington, Kentucky. The charges were related to an incident where he was caught on security cameras attempting to run over 2 employees at a jail he'd recently served time at. However, what followed during his first court appearance was nothing short of shocking. The presiding judge, who knew the 2 employees in question, was about to remove herself from the trial when Webb pulled a stunt that left everyone in the courtroom dumbfounded. He spit on the judge, leaving her stunned and disgusted. The judge wiped off the spit and then promptly kicked Webb out of the courtroom. This was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of Webb's dark and violent past. It turned out that Webb had a long history of violent crimes, and when he was behind bars, he was charged with the murder of 2 different girlfriends. He was found guilty of the killing of his first girlfriend, and now he was on trial for the second. During the trial, Webb showed no remorse for his actions, and the jury found him guilty. The judge sentenced Webb to life in prison for his crimes. Webb's violent tendencies were not limited to his romantic relationships. When he showed up at court for his trial, he had a tattoo on his head that listed the names of the people he wanted to kill. And at the bottom of the list, he had 3 rats crossed out, indicating that he'd already taken care of them. The details of Webb's violent past and his recent attempt at murder have shocked the community and left many wondering how someone like him was able to move through the legal system without being stopped earlier. Number 1. This is Bryce Rhodes committed the murder. Because they were witnesses to the crime, Rhodes killed them a few weeks later. The community was shocked and devastated by this senseless act of violence. Bryce Rhodes had been a familiar face in the community. He was known to play basketball with the teenagers he later killed. People who knew him described him as cool and someone who hung out with different people on a regular basis. However, his behavior took a turn for the worst, leading him down a path of violence and murder. The trial had been ongoing for years, mainly due to Rhodes' erratic behavior. He's been known to blow kisses to people in the courtroom, including the family of the victims. He's also made hand gestures and has mouthed off to people. In one instance, he had to wear a spit mask because he spat on his attorney. Rhodes has fired several of his lawyers throughout the trial, further delaying the process. His behavior in court has been out of control, making it difficult for the legal proceedings to move forward. He's made bizarre accusations toward the judge, including insinuating they've had a sexual relationship or that they're racist. It seems that Rhodes is unable to accept responsibility for his actions and is lashing out at anyone and everyone. It's safe to say that Rhodes will not be back on the streets anytime soon. His behavior and actions have not only caused immense pain and suffering to the victims' families, but have also tarnished the community's trust in him. The trial will continue until justice is served. If you want more videos like this, then stick around and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.